We are live. We're ready for the intro by Brandon.
Yeah, we're going to get you that intro. Don't worry about it. So, you're tuning in with us to another episode of the Rap Thought Podcast. Matthew, Brandon, we're here. We're doing it.
Welcome. And we got a special episode for you guys this week.
We got a good one. This week, it's funny because when we were choosing this album, and you're showing me on my phone which one it was, because I pulled up Odd Squad and it was some little kids singing and shit. Yeah. And I was like, this is what we're doing? It's like, no. So here's Odd Squad. So we're doing Odd Squad, Fadanuf for everybody. Erybody.
Oh, man.
But they changed their name to Coughee Brothaz, which is why you don't really...
You know what's crazy is when I was in high school, I went to go... I can't remember if it was a hip-hop festival or I went to go see someone else live. But Devin the Dude and the Coughee Brothaz were there. And I saw them live back... This is probably 06, 07. And I remember seeing it, I was like, dude, these guys love weed. They're all about every single song was about weed. They're all wearing shirts, brown shirts that said Coughee Brothaz on it. There's 6 or 7 of them.
Did you get one?
No, and it was that era when you wear, the triple XL shirts.
Yeah. Did you get into that era? Did you wear the tall tees?
No. I remember I bought one, but I never wore it. I was like, no, I can't do it. I can't rock it.
Yeah, I didn't like the feeling of wearing a nightgown, so I didn't get into it. It wasn't me.
Yeah, I never got into that.
But that's cool that you got to see him, though. That's dope.
Yeah, so I've known about Devin the Dude for a long time, and that's actually how I discovered this album. I was looking up Devin the Dude's discography to put him on the list for this podcast so that he would come up, and then it mentioned that he had a group, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. And it was before he put out any solo stuff, so I thought that would be really interesting, and I'd never heard of it. I didn't know what it was, so I was like, fuck it, I'll just put it on the list.
So definitely a fresh listen for us both,
right?
Because I've heard of Devin the Dude, but I couldn't name any of his songs though.
Right. But, and this came out when, 1994?
I thought it was 93, but
93 or 94. So it's an early 90s hip hop album. Mm-hmm. And I've never heard anyone talk about it before. I've never heard anyone mention it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's very underground. Even though it doesn't sound too underground for its time when this came out, it sounds like it would fit right in with hip hop, whatever was the most popular hip hop at the time, like Gangstar, Tribe Called Quest. This would fit right in there. It's not too abstract or anything.
No.
Besides the lyrics. The lyrics might be a little much for mainstream hip hop.
I think so. I think it's for its time, it's definitely out there. But I think that's what gives the album a lot of character.
Right.
So I like the cover. It's just a bunch of them. It's the same style, and it's from the same painting that Slum Village did.
Not Slum Village.
Not Slum Village. I get them mixed up with
No, it's like Camp Lo.
Thank you, Camp Lo. The same album cover that they did, similar style of just people dancing, having a good time. When I look at this, when I look at the cover for this album, and when I listen to the album, I want to be there.
Right.
I want to be there. I want to be dancing with these people because this is what they're doing the entire time they're hearing this. So I loved it. But yeah, I had a good time. I like the jazz behind everything is cool. Mm-hmm. The production's solid.
Right. For the listeners out there, this group is from Houston, Texas. Mm-hmm. Devin the Dude's from Texas. So it's definitely got a Houston southern rap feel to it, especially with the way that they flow and the way that they rhyme.
They're a little faster for...
Yeah, they're pretty fast, but the production is very East Coast. It's not too southern. It doesn't have that bop. It's got those jazzy samples and the pianos and the horns. It's super dope production. I was really surprised by it. Mm-hmm. I was surprised at how much I loved all the beats on here.
I think it makes, without any surprise, I feel like it makes an album fantastic when you can go in without any type of expectation. I didn't know it's mostly, we're looking at it, the members, you have Devin the Dude, you have Smugg Mugg, Rob Quest, DJ Styles, I believe, was another producer that
he worked on a lot of the production.
And, I like I said, I can't name Devin the Dude's tracks, but I know of him. But I hadn't heard of Jug Mug. I hadn't heard of Rob Quest. And so you go into this album without anything. And I feel like these are one of the seldom times that you are rewarded for ignorance being bliss, I guess. I don't know if I want to say it like that.
But and there's no reason for us to even know about this album, because even for when it came out, it wasn't really known. It wasn't pushed or promoted by Rap-A-Lot, which was the label that they're assigned to. And Rap-A-Lot at the time in the 90s was one of the biggest record labels out for hip hop. You know, it's a legendary record label coming out of the South. They had artists like Scarface.
Scarface was one that heavily said this album was great.
He
put it up.
It had Ghetto Boys was on Rap-A-Lot. They had some amazing acts on there, and Devin the Dude obviously did a lot of his solo stuff on Rap-A-Lot. So this is one of the early projects on there, and from what I've read, it looked like Rap-A-Lot didn't even promote it that much, for whatever reason. And this is the only album that the group put out under the name Odd Squad. They kind of disbanded after this, and Devin the Dude went to pursue his solo career.
It sounds like they dropped a couple albums. They went
under the Coughee Brothaz.
Coughee Brothaz,
yeah. And I don't think they're on Rap-A-Lot though.
So I just kept trying to remember the waiting. It's our turn, or waiting our turn, and then there was another one that I don't know. They're not really on Spotify though, and they're not.
Right.
So.
Yeah, so this is all, these are all projects that probably if you lived in Houston or you lived in Texas, you'd be more aware of them. We're in California, so I think it's a little bit harder for us to discover these albums. It seems pretty regional, these guys, especially Devin the Dude, the Coughee Brothaz. If you grew up in Texas, you're probably well aware of all this shit, and you're like, what the fuck, how do you guys not know about this? But yeah, this is both of our first times listening to it, and it's dope. And I mean, that's like we said before. This is one of the reasons why we love doing this podcast, is because these albums will come up where neither of us have heard about them, and probably most of our listeners haven't heard about it.
I'd put money on that for sure. So, but yeah, man, those are the three of the group, and I don't know. Being as young as they are, they all kind of sound similar in the album. And it's not every track you go through and all three of them get a verse. There's a couple where Rob Quest just has the entire song. Sometimes it's just Jug Mug and Devin the Dude. Sometimes it's just Devin the Dude. Right. So, I've listened to this album a handful of times now, and I still get them mixed up. But I always like to kind of take a jab at like who I thought stood out the most on the album. For me, I think it's Rob Quest. I got my people.
Rob Quest sounded the most like lyrical and sounded most like what other rappers sounded at the time. Devin the Dude definitely has his own style, and it's more laid back, and it's not as in your face. It's, he's got a quirky style to him. But that's also, I think, why he still is on his solo careers, because he does have a unique style that's super laid back and different.
I agree with that, but I think at the same time, they all have a really good chemistry. So like they're all, as we go through the tracks, like they're all giving their own rendition of what the topic is and staying on point. And also, if you told me that someone wrote someone else's verse, I'd be like, oh, okay, like I can see that, because the styles are very similar.
Right.
I think kind of some background on the group. We'll do it from Rob Quest's side of the story, because I thought it was really interesting. So I found the problem with older groups is sometimes it's really hard to find information on them.
Right.
So if
the pre-internet era.
Yeah, exactly. But then also pre-internet era, and they're not necessarily making as many moves as they are now. Like Devin the Dude, you can find stuff on him, but Jug Mug and Rob Quest, it's kind of harder to find stuff on them. But found some interviews with Rob Quest, and he basically was diagnosed with sarcoidosis in his later teenage years. So he went fully blind around 18. And he was saying it's the same disease that Bernie Mac passed away from.
Whoa.
Yeah, and except that with him it started in his liver. but with Bernie Mac, it started in his brain. So Rob Quest had one final surgery to hope to correct it, and it didn't pan out well for him, so he ended up going blind. But he was anticipating it, so he was learning Braille. He was learning a bunch of stuff in preparation for going 100% blind. And he went to college, he graduated high school, he did all of that. And the cool thing is that while he was in high school, he was in jazz band and everything. So when he went blind, he's like, I need to find a hobby. So that's when he really dove into music and everything.
Right.
And so, wow, when I got here, that's when I put on the second part of the interview of him, how he met the rest of the Coughee Brothaz. And so that's when he he said his mom was with him in the background. Like they were listening to some on the radio, and there was an advertisement for this contest, this hip hop contest. And he didn't seem too enthused about it, but his mom was like, oh, you can win money. You're getting in that.
Right.
So he went in, and he was kind of self-conscious and concerned about people ragging on him because he's blind. But they're
or giving him the edge or feeling sympathy for him and giving him the win just because he's blind.
Yeah. And so, but it wasn't like that at all. They welcomed him in. He did his thing. Devin the Dude at the end of the show was super impressed with him, so they linked up and started doing some stuff together. And they were talking about trying to get Smugg Mugg in on with them. And Devin the Dude's like, yo, I got this blind dude with me. We're making music. And Smugg Mugg just kind of kept like, yeah, man, that's all right, whatever. But then he eventually came down, saw what they were doing, was really impressed, and it's kind of, he said history was after that. But yeah, just kind of a cool thing of how they started. I was looking up sarcoidosis, and it's looking like the growth of tiny collections of inflammatory cells in different parts of the body. Wow. So that makes sense of why, for him it was in his liver,
right,
and Bernie Mac it was in his brain.
Gotcha.
So fortunately, he lived from that. He calls himself the hip hop Stevie Wonder, and I just think that that's amazing that he's blind. And you listen, like we said, there can't be enough emphasis on this, but when you listen to this album, you hear the jazz production behind it, it's amazing. And the fact that this dude is doing it blind is...
Right, yeah, he's producing a lot of these tracks, which is incredible.
He's got his name on all of them, I believe.
Yeah.
If not missing one or two, but...
Yeah, from the interview we just listened to, he would have his mom help him, press record and... be there, and he's recording all this stuff in his closet. And yeah, that's a crazy story.
Yeah, it was a cool story. And it's just like, man, I gotta, it makes you want to listen to more of them. Like when you have people that have this very unique and incredible story.
Right. Yeah. And I think, cool. I really want to stress that people should listen to this album. And we're going to go into every track and discuss every song and why you should listen to this. But if you wanted to take the time now to go listen to it before we talk about every track,
we'll wait here for you.
Yeah, we'll wait. We'll be here for you when you get back.
We'll wait.
You should definitely do that and get your own thoughts on it, and then come back and hear our thoughts. Yeah, it's a super unique album in a lot of ways, and it's very comedic. It's fun. It's very how do I say? It's very explicit, in a lot of ways. It definitely should be rated R.
It's explicit's a good word. And I feel like it's semi-important to touch on this of like, if you listen to other pods, sometimes we'll but we'll just talk about how some albums, they're not our bag because it's okay, this isn't going anywhere. Right. I don't feel enriched, so I'm not doing whatever. But at the same time, like there's certain ways of going about it, and this is just for my own personal interest. I can't speak for Matt, but like, there's sometimes where you hear some dude just going off on a bunch of nothing. It's like, all right, like I don't really care for that. But then there's albums like this where I don't know, it makes you laugh in a certain way. The way it's very artistic in how they deliver what they're doing, and they're very comedic, and it sounds great. So there's a different way of doing it.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. I think I would agree with you. If you're gonna be all about drugs, hoes, and beer and whatever, and weed, there's a way to go about it artistically, like you said, and going about it in a unique way that'll make me engaged more in the music. Mm-hmm. If your beats are super bland and just of the current times and what everyone else is doing, that's one reason for me to tune it out. And then if you're taking yourself too seriously, that's also going to make me turn.
Because it's just not realistic.
Right.
And in this one, you get the feel that they're just kicking back and having a good time. And some of it may be, I don't even think there's much in here that's over the top. Like a lot of this is either things that you've been through, that you know that someone else has been through, or it's not too out of the ordinary that you're like, all right, man, that's just ridiculous.
Right.
You know, so that's why I can get behind it.
Yeah. All right, with that said, let's get into the intro.
Dude, intro
to oddness.
Intro to oddness. Yes. Can you get down? Can you talk trash? Can you get funky? Can you get nasty?
Yeah, they're definitely getting you prepped for the album.
Bro, like right there. If this doesn't set you up for this album, you're not ready.
Right.
You're not ready.
Yeah, and they're little radio clips that kind of come in and out on the intro. And it's basically just introducing the Odd Squad and what you're about to hear, what you're about to get yourself into. Mm-hmm. And it's definitely a party atmosphere. You know, you're being thrown into, you know, what people do when they've been partying or after the party and all that kind of stuff.
I said last pod with Elzai that when you hear, I look at that as like when your friend tells you that he can rap and it's really good. Like, that's what I look forward to. But if you have a gang of friends that say, like, yeah, man, we're getting a rap group together, like, this is what I would want to hope for. Like, they just get up, like, you have a party, they all get up in the living room, get a mic, turn the stereo up, and they just, like, this is what happens. Mm-hmm. This is what I would be looking for.
Hell yeah.
So, and that kind of goes into Squad, where, you know, as your friends are up there, they're just kind of giving shout outs to Smugg Mugg, giving shout outs to Rob, to Devin, showing love to everybody and getting you kind of ready for what's to come. And
I love this song. I love the beat. I love the jazziness to it. It's super funky. And I love how Rob Quest comes in. He goes, "This ain't no gang or crew or high cap and click. No combat boots or baggy pants, dreadlocks, none of that shit."
Bro, I'm out. I'm out.
You don't got the combat boots.
I got the dreadlocks though. I guess I'm out.
No, I love that he's explicitly saying, you know, we're not like the typical hip hop group that's out right now. Mm-hmm. You know, we're unique. We're ourselves. We're from Texas. We're not trying to be, you know, wear the baggy pants like the New York rappers, and we're in the combat boots. You know, we're not trying to be militaristic or anything like that.
None of that shit,
right?
As they say.
Yeah. So I love how he's just making known right away that this is the Odd Squad. We're different. We're a little bit, you know, weird or whatever. We're not going to do things like everyone else.
Yeah, I like how they set themselves apart and then do a good job of moving with that. Mm-hmm. So I really like that. Yeah. And I don't know, because I think through the intro you get a hint of jazz, if I remember right. But once you get into the Squad, the very first lyrical track, you're like, oh, is this how this whole album's gonna go? Wait. Right. And so it has your attention from the jump.
Oh yeah, definitely. And Devin the Dude takes it further. He says, telling us to make the album strictly for the radio, but yeah, this just ain't no comedy act. Just some brothers with rubber sticking their dick in your back. Bitch, and don't get offended when there's a different dick in your mouth every 30 minutes when you're fucking with the Squad. So a little bit explicit lyrics, but he's saying, you know, we're not going to follow the times. We're not going to just make songs to be on the radio. And we're funny, but we're not trying to be a comedy act. We're not stand up. Mm-hmm. You know, we're not a shtick. You know, we're not a comedy. We're not a Saturday Night Live skit. You know. They're just being themselves, and they're hanging out with friends and just talking their shit. Mm-hmm. You know, that's who they are. So I love that they're just being true to themselves. They're not trying to be anything. They're not trying to be an act. They're just artists.
They're just doing their thing. They're out. I mean, who was it that was saying that he's not like that? He's an entertainer. I feel like that was KRS-One, but I could be wrong. But it's just kind of like this is entertainment for you.
I saw a tweet a few days ago, and someone made a distinction. He said there's a very big difference between an entertainer and an artist, and you need to figure out which one you are. An entertainer, you know, that's someone who just wants to perform and you know, be famous and be in front of the spotlight and be in front of the camera and make money and do all that kind of stuff. And you don't care artistically about your music. You just want to be known, right? You're supplying entertainment.
I think we have a lot of entertainers in 2020.
And then the artist is someone who doesn't care about the fame or the money. They're just making art to make art because that's what they do. I really like that distinction, especially nowadays. It's a very clear-cut line. I think nowadays it's easy to see that.
Oh yeah, definitely. But I like this track overall. I think it's a good setup for the rest of the album and everything.
Right.
And then fucking with them hoes with them babies. Oh whoa 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 whoa.
Dude, that's a great hook. It's very catchy.
I love this track. When I hear Squad, I'm like, all right, this is going in a good direction. And then I hear this song and I start listening and I was like, dude, I'm fucking sold on this album right now. It's so good. So I mean, it's fucking with them hoes, with them babies.
Yeah.
It's basically just like them sharing different stories of hooking up with girls, trying to hook up with girls.
Right, but the kids get in the way.
And this track is funny.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I was laughing a lot listening to this song, because even if you never experienced this, you could just imagine the situation that they're in and how funny it is that you're just trying to bang this girl, but these kids are just like, they're crying, they're knocking at the door, they're hungry. You know, you got to be their babysitter basically. And you got to do all this shit just to sleep with a girl. But
dude, they're talking about going in there. They turn into the babysitter. They have to buy them lunch. They're bribing them.
Right.
It's just really funny. And, I don't know, like personally, I don't have kids right now. But I mean, from friends that have kids, like it's not easy to do a lot of things. And like shout out to parents that, especially in this time, that are doing a lot.
Right.
But I don't know. It's cool to like, from the humor side, to take a look at that from the other end. But,
oh man, I gotta quote Jug Mugg on this one. He says, "Now I'm trying to bone mommy on the bathroom floor, but little man steady knocking at the door. Her little girl's crying. Now it's getting shitty. To keep your ass from crying, pick out that sag titty."
Dude, so I put that one down. So I heard it a different way. I thought he was saying that now I have to share a titty, and I thought that was super funny. So
now pick out. From crying, pick out the share.
Had to pick out and share a titty.
Pick out and share a titty.
But when I was reading the lyrics, it said sag.
Pick out the sag titty.
Yeah,
But I guess that would mean it's full of milk, so it's sagging.
Yeah, I guess. But I mean, you don't really know
either
that.
Ways.
But
I like the idea of him sharing.
That's when I first heard. I was like, dude, that's hella funny. Like, yeah, you want them titties to yourself, and now you have to share them to shut this kid up.
So funny.
I thought that was funny.
But it's a really funny image that he's locked himself in the bathroom because that's the only place he can go without being bothered. But all of a sudden the kid comes knocking at the door because he's hungry.
It's hilarious. And I put down, here's $1, beat it. Now take your ass and scram. You worse than flies at a picnic. God damn. And like, I hate flies. When people leave the door open, I get annoyed. So I was just like, yeah, man, that sucks. You're in there trying to get yours, and these kids, man.
Those flies coming around.
But
oh my god.
I just saw that was funny.
Oh, that's great. It is comedy, but it's not a shtick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like they're Lil Dicky and they're playing a role to be funny. It's like they're just being themselves and they happen to be funny. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because like Big Sean also did a verse like this on Hall of Fame called MILF. And so I don't know, he kind of takes like a villain route in his track where he's just like, you wake up, I'm back, eating up all your snacks, and just like being a dick to these kids.
Damn.
So I don't know, I like tracks like that. It's not too far off, like he's not making it far-fetched and probably something someone's gone through. So track 4, Trip Tip, kind of move into a different direction. Still jazzy.
Yeah. It's an interlude.
Oh yeah, it was an interlude.
Yeah. Trip Tip's an interlude.
And kind of a lot of repetition. I think. Well, I don't think it's. I think they're on a trip.
Right.
Smoking that weed, they're on a trip or something.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, not much going on there. It's like a short track.
Yeah.
And then it goes into Here to Say a Little Something. I love this freaking beat. It's so dope. You know, and this is them talking their shit. This is more of, you know, hip hopping and just rapping and showing off their skills as MCs. And again, once again, Devin the Dude makes it known that they're not just trying to be on the radio. He says, but don't depend on the radio because all they play is DJ Snotty Nose and MC don't know what to say. And when we hear they shit, man, we just laugh at them hoes.
And I like how he says, you know, hey, give us, you know, don't listen to the radio. You give us your $15 and we'll make it worth your while. Mm-hmm. And I agree with that, having listened to this all the way through. But I don't know, you kind of think, I mean, 93, because there were we've done a couple albums within the span of 90 and 95 already.
Right.
And I don't know, I kind of like want to go back. I should have looked up what tracks, what was on like the Billboard 100 or something like that, and seeing what was hot in this time frame.
Right.
Because I don't know, I feel like in probably
I think it was artists like MC Hammer, Vanilla Ice,
you know, Milli Vanilli. I got that from the Dreads reference that they made earlier.
Right. I don't know if Gangstar's at the top or Tribe Called Quest. I don't know if they're selling the most records, but they're the most respected, you know, looking back. Mm-hmm. So I obviously he's not talking about them.
Oh, no, I just mean like, you know, for the ones that he's clowning, saying that they aren't worth listening to. I'm kind of curious.
Right.
But I was going to say, like, every couple of albums, you always get one where they say, you know, everyone out here is trash right now. And especially you're hearing that a lot right now with older artists. So kind of makes me like, man, what were you listening to? So
yeah, I took this as, you know, they're claiming themselves as to be the next big thing in hip hop, and they're making their mark. You know, they're talking their shit, and you know, you got to have a track like this on your debut album for sure.
Oh yeah, and especially in this time frame, that's
right.
You have to have that. You have to talk your crew up. You got to talk your DJ up and everything. Yep. So kind of the end of that era. But yeah, and then in track 6, you have Rev Puff kind of corroborating all of that, saying that.
Yeah, it's kind of like a skit.
It's my bad. It's another skit, but he's basically saying like, you know, there's a lot of different squads in the game right now.
Right, he's giving a sermon on the Odd Squad being the next big thing.
Rev Puff. Man. I mean, I feel like all of those segue well into each other, because you have that, then you have Rev Puff. From Rev Puff, you go smoking that weed.
Yep. And you go straight into the weed song. Yeah. Like I said before, I love weed songs. So weed songs are always have the dopest beat. It's a little bit chiller. It's got a great hook. It's definitely a feel-good song.
I can see myself, if I smoked, rolling one up and singing this song to it. Like, hey, man, let's do this. Roll it up. Smoking that weed.
Yeah, so. And Devin the Dude goes 2 verses on this one. I think he doubles up. I think it's just Rob Quest and Devin the Dude, if I remember correctly.
No, I think this one has Devin and it doesn't have Rob.
Okay, so it's Jug Mugg and Devin.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And yeah, they're just kicking back, smoking some weed. I kind of like how they, you know, talk about how they don't view it as a drug. They see it as something that kind of just recreational. They're just kicking it and kind of throwing shade at people doing crack and stuff. It's like, look at, you know, these people spin in circles, and you know, I forgot to look that up beforehand, but I remember, you know, my drugs class we talked about every drug. And it's interesting that marijuana is a Schedule 1, which is above a lot of harder substances. It's above heroin, above crack. Just stuff that, you know. So it's really interesting how it's placed above that. But I don't know. But I like how they kind of touch on that a little bit in that song. Yeah. Put your lips.
Put your lips. Dude, this song.
What about this song, Matthew?
Dude, the first note I made for the song was, this song is nuts. This shit's wild. So to sum it up, these guys are on a mission to get a girl who's not into giving head to give them head. So that's their mission. That's their goal. Is to get this girl to perform fellatio on them.
I was about to say, like, I'm surprised you didn't say fellatio and then you said it.
Then I said it. I got you. But I love this shit. It's so funny. Because, they come up with every way. They comfort her. There's, they make excuses, whatever they got to do to get her to just do it. You know what I mean? They're on a mission.
And then they finally get her to do it. And then it's just like, all right, now go clean up my shit for me.
I'm going to go watch the Oilers.
Yeah. Dude, which is a trip. Because I'm like, how old? I thought the Oilers changed like in the 80s. But
I guess not.
They were good from 1960 to 1996. I had to look that up. So, and you know what? That was the other thing, too, is I thought it was I don't know. I thought it was Houston Oilers, but it was Tennessee. But I don't know. Anyways. Well,
it was still Houston Oilers. Sure. But actually, I really like the female rapper on this. And I don't know who it was. Who was the female?
I didn't see who it was. And it didn't have a name.
She wasn't credited.
Dude, I feel like those kind of nasty raps like that, they always make me cringe. I'm like, that's gross. I'm not trying to eat nothing. You ppull your tampon out and put it back in. It's fucking gross.
No, I just love that she matched the energy. You know what I mean? Like, they're talking shit and trying to get her head, and she's like, okay, if you're going to do that, I'm going to talk shit back.
I like that.
I'm going to give it back.
I like that.
So I liked her energy on it. You know what I mean?
It wasn't anything I was interested in doing.
To quote her, she says, so go and get a straw so you can suck my pussy juice. Let me tell you, Big Black, I ain't to be tramped on. Make you eat my pussy, then I put back in my tampons.
Oh, you got it for me.
Yeah, I got you.
Like,
dude, that's crazy. I don't know how she came up with that, but that shit's hilarious.
Yeah, this whole track was funny. I just feel like this album has a lot of good highs and lows. So like it brings you in, and then you come up and you're just like, all right, this song's funny. And then you kind of chill a little bit more, and then you come back up with this and you laugh some more. So I like the
flow of it.
The flow, I don't know. I like it all of this album. So, but yeah, y'all should listen to that. Let me know what you think of that second verse.
Let us know if you deal with that issue and how you go about fixing it.
Yeah, especially as you're waiting for the camcorder to get going. Yeah. Don't do it without their consent. So that's a crime. That's a crime. I read about that. So number 9, we got Jazz Rendition. And this is a Rob Quest solo. He's just kind of going and he's talking his game. Mm-hmm. And you get a lot of people don't believe in what he's doing, but he's out here doing it regardless and proving people wrong.
Yeah. I like their energy and how they go about it. They make it clear that they're not trying to be the best MC. They're not trying to like just take over the game. They just want people to recognize who they are and what they do, and they don't need to be known as the best rappers ever. They're just trying to make dope music, and it comes across very genuine. You know what I mean?
It's believable, and that's what I'm saying. Like it's nothing over the top, so it's all believable. Yeah,
and they used lots of jazzy samples on this. It's a really dope song, and Rob's talking his shit. And I love it. And I love the shout out to DJ Premier, who is also from Houston, Texas. He moved to New York later on. So a lot of people think DJ Premier is a New York producer, but he's actually from Houston. Because of Gangstar, Guru was actually from Boston, I believe. But they came together in New York.
All right.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, little fun facts for you.
Good looking out. Is that Swisser Dot? Is that how you pronounce that?
It's Swisser Dot.
All right.
Yes. It's another interlude about smoking swishers.
What else?
I don't know.
they're talking about like it sounds like there's this girl in one of these rooms just giving head to everybody, and so it sounds like they're
smoking on the other swisher.
Yeah, so someone's smoking on someone else is smoking a different type of pipe. But everyone else is mostly smoking weed. And so they're just like, yeah, man, where's Chris at? We got to make sure he gets in line to get some of this and stuff. So
I don't know.
I'm just like, I'm not trying to go after someone else. It's gross.
Yeah.
At least not back to back. But I mean, in a couple of tracks they've talked about, like, I think as we go forward, you know, I think Devin the Dude like gets off work, buys some weed, buys a hoe, goes home, has some fun with it. Fun with it all, not referring to people's objects. Before we get to there, we talking coffee.
Coffee, but not the coffee you're thinking.
I really like that play on words.
I do, yeah. It's super creative, and they spell it Coughee.
So like cough, like coughing, but
the E.
Pronounced like you're drinking coffee.
And I love they take it, you know, to the next level where they really, you know, compare it to the drink coffee, and they're like, you know, they compare it to drinking, instead of drinking 2 cups of coffee, they drink 2 cups of weed. Mm-hmm. You know, they're ingesting weed instead of waking up and drinking a cup of coffee, which is dope. They say, we call our shit coffee, but we don't dip it in the water. It's just straight weed, motherfuckers. No sugar, no cream. Save all that shit for all them old school dope fiends.
Mm-hmm. And that's kind of a shout out back to the old track where it's like, yo, we're just hanging out, like save the crack for everyone else.
And not even crack. I mean, caffeine is a drug.
Caffeine is the most addictive drug there is.
Yeah, so you can call people who drink coffee every day and need it as dope fiends. And we're smoking weed instead of doing that shit. And we're not putting any sugar or cream in it. So we're actually healthier.
No sugar, no cream.
I like the beat, the hook. It's very catchy. It's a fun song. Mm-hmm. You know, this is a great weed song as well.
Yeah, this is one of the tracks when I look at the album cover that I see people dancing to and kind of kicking it. So I like that. But I like how he's just like, girl, you know, because I roll big old horse dicks. And it's like, yeah, man, that's a pretty big blunt then, I guess. So I just like that.
Let's turn it up to 100.
Yeah. So and for show track 12, it kind of goes a little, not like you go up and then you kind of come back down a little bit. Yeah. So this one is still in jest, but it's like, haha, I'm telling it as a funny story, but then it still sucks. So basically what they're saying is there's your for show pussy, and then there's your, forget the next part, but basically like someone coming in.
Some mo pussy.
Yeah. There you go.
So you have your main girl, you have, you know, the girl that you see on a regular basis, but then you want to risk it and get some mo pussy, but then you end up with no pussy. So that's the risk you got to take. So the whole song is about that. It's about taking that risk to get more pussy when you already have pussy, but then you end up with no pussy.
Because in each verse they end up with none.
Right.
Yeah, it's all gone.
Right.
So, but yeah, I like how he just, like, in the first verse, they're just talking about, like, now she's gone, and, like, I cheated on my girl, she found out, now I'm at home breaking my back trying to suck my own dick. And second verse, you know, he snuck the side piece in. He kind of was in this routine schedule and everything. Little girl was off at, like, daycare. Girlfriend was off doing her thing. But girlfriend has suspicions, comes back, and busts him in the 69 position. So I couldn't imagine, like, coming home and, like, in between legs, upside down, and someone's like, hey, I caught you. And you're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, what do you do? You're done. You got no pussy now.
Yeah, now he's got nothing. But I like at the end of the track, though, they say, and I was laughing as shit when she left at first. I was like, all right, that's fine. It's not a big deal. But in a couple weeks, that shit started to hurt. And so it kind of brings you down, like, you know, these are funny, but it really did.
There's repercussions for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it brings you back down to earth a little bit.
Yeah. I put down, it's kind of a funny and a sad track at the same time, but mostly funny. 13, I Can't See It. And as we said in the beginning, Rob Quest is blind. Mm-hmm. And so this is him kind of just not making fun of himself or anything, but like making light of the situation of like, I'm blind and there's some things that I can't see, but it's all it's all good.
Oh man, I love this beat. It's such a dope one. It's got the jazzy horn samples, dope breaks. Yeah, it's a dope track, and you know, they're talking about their come up a little bit and how they've been writing rhymes since '86. But this is their debut album. They finally got their chance to you know, make it big or you know, put out their own music. But yeah, I love it. I love when Rob Quest says, "I get a check every month and it makes me independent." So motherfuck you and that hand that you lend in, because I don't need your funky ass sympathy, just the pussy and any money that you're giving me. You know, he's just making it known like he's doing work, and you know, he's independent. He's making money. He doesn't need anyone. He do everything on his own.
I like that energy.
Yeah,
it's like I'm good. Like
yeah.
I'm good off that. Man, this one. So if I'm
are we going to your favorite song on the album?
It's probably one of my favorite tracks on the whole album. So like, as I'm listening to this the first time, I'm like, all right, this is cool. And then this one comes on, and I'm like, we're doing this one. We're doing this.
Oh yeah. Well, first of all, this is kind of an interlude. It's not really a song.
It's a great interlude.
It's more of a skit. All I have is WTF.
The shit pit.
What the fuck, man? So the song is called Shit Pit.
Dude, so I'm not gonna drop names, but like when I heard the song, I laughed again because I have a friend that he basically went through the story. He had someone over, I guess she's on her period or whatever else, so he's like, I don't know. So in my head, it's like, yo, so it just didn't happen. You let her go, right? And it's like, nah, like I went to the back door. And then from the song, it's like I took a dive in the shit pit. So like, I don't know. I think it's interesting. People would rather have your dick covered in shit than in blood, but
right. Either way, you're gonna lose.
It's an L either way.
Yeah. Oh man, dude. Devin the Dude's a wild man. Yeah. Dude, that fool is crazy.
Yeah, man. I mean, there's some people out here that are gonna differ with us, but I mean, I'm just on the whole. Just wait. It's a couple days.
It's a funny skit. It doesn't necessarily need to be on here.
No, it needs to be on here.
I could see if they were on like a different major label, like this would definitely not make it onto the album.
Yeah, it would not. You wouldn't be hearing this, but I'm so glad to hear this.
Yeah, it's hilarious. It's not for the faint of heart.
Nah, but I had a good laugh out of that, and I like the beat behind it too.
Yeah,
it's just.
It's a dope beat.
It's a dope beat. I just love the demon voice in the back. The shit pit. Just like, yeah, man, you're doing something you don't really want to do.
Yeah.
So I think Shit Pit though, like, is a good track going into Your Pussy's Like Dope, because then it's just like, this is what I had to do, but this is what I like to do.
Right.
And
just comparing, you know, vagina to dope and drugs, and how they're pretty much the same, and it affects them in the same way. You know, they become fiendish. They do things they wouldn't normally do.
Seeing like he's going broke,
right? Yeah,
pawning stuff to get a hotel room and everything,
right?
And so
yeah, I love when Devin the Dude, he says, it's like dope because when I'm through stroking, my eyes are wide open. My friends think I'm smoking. I try to call you at your house. If you ain't home, then I'll beep. I get to no sleep because I geek. And if I lose your beeper number, I get nervous, girl. I just can't cope. Bitch, your pussy's like dope. I just he's just like a fiend. Like, I need to call my dealer. Like, I need to get a hit real quick.
Yeah, that's probably why he's out here picking up hoes and stuff. Like, but I don't know. But then in the track he says that it's only hers, because in the next verse they're like, dude, why? It's just ass is ass. Like, why don't you just go get someone else? Like, no, there's something great about her. It's specific to her.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I don't know. I like. The track was cool. I really like the mellow vibes you get from the beat too. Like, I could, if that were an instrumental, I'd be listening to that too.
Oh yeah, totally. This whole album. Yeah, the whole album. I could definitely do with the instrumentals for this. I think it would be super dope.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. But definitely these tracks, we all came to get down with them. I like them, and that's the name of the next track too.
Yes, sir. And this one's a posse cut.
Yep,
big time posse cut.
Everyone's getting a piece. Everyone's getting.
We even got Scarface on here, which is dope. And we got everyone else had no idea who they were, but the ones that caught my attention were the two little kids, Kilo and Tulo, and I was like, who the fuck are these two little kids rapping like that?
Yeah, like they sound
talking
young.
It sounded like they're 13 or 14 talking mad shit.
But they had bars though.
They had bars.
They came in.
I was like, damn, these guys are coming after Crisscross hard.
Ooh, that's rude. That's not nice. But I hear that.
Dude, it's like close to 8 minutes long. It's a long posse cut. It's dope. After one listen, I don't really need to listen to it, after that.
Yeah, that was I didn't skip any on the album, but I agree with you. If I'm gonna revisit it, you could end it at Your Pussy's Like Dope. That could have been the last track for me. I would have been fine with it.
Right. Yeah, especially since the last song, A Long Time Coming, is pretty much an outro skit. It's just them all together talking about the album and shouting everyone out who helped them out. Getting on where they are.
Yeah, making fun of each other, having a good time.
Right, just talking shit, hanging out, and they just record themselves. Which is it's a cool. I like when albums end like that. It puts into perspective the whole album and just like what they went through to put it out and shout. I love when they shout out people. I miss when artists did that more, where they shouted out at the end of the track, everyone that helped them with the album or helped them earlier in their career, whatever. I think it's always dope when they do that.
Yeah, I liked it. I mean, I like these kind of things in shorter lengths. So like this one's, about a little over 3 minutes.
Right.
And so I like them when they're, one, maybe two tops.
Right.
Because it's not really, I'm not getting much out of it, but I do respect what they're doing of like kind of the end credits of a movie. Like when I first heard this one, it made me think of, as I said in the beginning, like your friends are up on stage, they do a set, and then they're all leaving, and you're giving them all props and saying they did a good job and what you like, what you didn't like.
Right.
So it made me think of that, and I feel like it fits with the album, but I don't need to listen to it for 3 to 4 minutes.
Yeah, that's true. No, I think you made a good point. You could end this album at Your Pussy's Like Dope, and you'd be totally fine. So yeah, that's the whole album. That's Odd Squad, Fadanuf for Erybody. Man, this is a great album. It's a great trip to go on when you listen to this. It's definitely an experience. It puts you into their environment. It puts you into that time of the early 90s, hanging out with these guys in Houston. It's basically what you're doing throughout this album and what they're into. They're into weed, hoes, drugs.
You can't really go wrong.
Yeah. They're just having a good time. They're young and they're talking their shit. I'm actually really surprised this album doesn't get talked about more. Just even on Twitter, like, on the forums, whatever, on Reddit, people don't really mention this one.
It made me think of it's one of those things where you discover that an artist you really like has a group. So I remember for me, my story would be, Snoop Dogg and then 213 with Nate Dogg and Warren G. Like I remember I just came across that on accident. I forget how I found it out. But you listen to it and it's such a good album, and Nate Dogg is one of my favorite singers, and it's like, how come I've never heard of this? Why isn't anyone talking about this?
Right.
Why is this why is no one talking about this? And that's how I felt with this one. Like we said in the beginning, I'm not too big on Devin the Dude, but this is a great album. This is a great thing if you're into jazz, if you're into some hip hop with some comedy in it, if you're into, especially for the 90s, like these bars really flow really well together.
Right.
And we don't talk about it. So I wonder why it missed a lot of radars.
Yeah, it's a great question. I think it just didn't sell well when it first came out, so it never really gained that hype that it needed to give it legs. But yeah, if you at all like 90s hip hop, you should listen to this. This is right up your alley. If you just want to hear, if you're more interested in bars and serious rap, this album's not for you. But if you like listening to a laid back album, it's got great beats, it's funny, it's gonna make you laugh. This is a great album to put on, when you're hanging out at the house, if you're just chilling, you know, you don't need to pay attention to every single lyric to understand what's going on in this album.
No,
you just
pretty
need
much...
to like kind of understand what the song is about, and you're good.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a super fun album. I really enjoyed it, listening to it.
Yeah, and in the intro track, they were also briefly talking about the term fat and how it's like underused and whatever else. And I think that's what went into for the title of the album. And this really is something that is fat enough for everybody. Like this is, as we were describing it, I feel like I could see an argument for you know, for anybody listening to this.
Right.
So it's a solid album.
I also feel that this could be a regional classic or regionally known album. So if we grew up in Houston, we probably would have known about this album for a long time. That's what I'm guessing. Because Houston rappers and Houston hip hop, I think it's very, you know,
like a tight knit community.
It's a tight knit community. If you're at all into hip hop in Houston, I'm sure you've heard of this. But in California, probably not as much.
Well, I'm glad I came across it. It got made it to the list, you know. So
yeah, definitely. And we're gonna keep putting albums like this onto the list, and they'll come up when they come up, which I think will definitely be good to mix things up on the albums that go on, you know, because one of the great things about this is that we're not just doing the most known albums or the most classic hip hop albums throughout the years. You know, we're mixing it up and we're throwing in some unknown albums. And
unknown albums that we haven't heard of. So right. I like that mix.
No, it's always good to throw in some gems, you know, hidden gems are crucial. And I hope our listeners appreciate it and they don't just skip over this because they have no idea who the Odd Squad is.
Yeah, I mean, and that goes for other episodes too. And this isn't even just to say, hey, listen to more of our stuff, but, you know, don't pass up on an artist just because you don't know who they are. You may check that out and be like, all right, this person sounds, maybe if you have I don't know if by now you have an idea of what our personal tastes are. It may take a little bit longer, but you know, if you vibe with us and we're saying, hey, that we like this person, we suggest it, you know, that may be what it is, and you've checked this person out.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. So when and where are you bumping this album?
This could be bumped anytime. I mean, this can be on a car ride. I listened to it on a couple walks. I think I was doing some type of a project and I was listening to this, but yeah, I was working on a report and I was tuning in. So I'd say anywhere. I definitely kick back. I've said this with a couple albums, but a kick back with a small group of people and just chilling. So
yeah, I picture listening to this at home with a small group of people and we're just hanging out, drinking, whatever, and you just throw this album on because it's fun and it's got great production, and you don't need to intently listen to all the lyrics. It's not that kind of album. Like the Elzai album, I want to listen to in my car where it's just focus me and the music, and I can focus on the lyrics. You know, there's no one else there distracting me or trying to talk to me. Like I'm just zoning in on the lyrics. Whereas this album, it's probably more fun to listen to it with a group of people, and people laugh and hear a line and just like, what the fuck? And
yeah.
What did he just say?
I definitely see a lot of that happening.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah.
But it was cool. I had a good time with this album. Y'all should go check it out.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Thanks for supporting us at the Rap That Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on Spotify and follow us on Apple and Google and Stitcher and Amazon and all the fun places where you listen to podcasts.
You'll find us there.
Yep. Hit us up on social media. We're on Reddit. We're on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Yeah, definitely check out our YouTube page if you want to see videos of us, short clips from each episode. You can see us in the flesh, so you know what we look like, and then you can make fun of us.
And then see us out in public and do whatever.
Yep. But yeah, appreciate the listens, and we'll catch you guys next week.
See you then.
Peace.